welcome to the CrafteeManatee. During the month of October, I'm going to be posting a video every Monday showing you how to crochet Scrump from Lilo and Stitch. This is a crochet along event and I'm hosting a discussion over on Rippler where we are all going to be crocheting this Scrump together. So I will link that discussion over on Rippler in the description below so you can come and join the community of everybody at crocheting Scrump this month. Each of the 4 videos is going to show you a different part of how to crochet Scrump, and it will all be worked in chronological order so you can work along with me to create your own Scrump from Lilo and Stitch. Scrump is designed to be a little bit of a scary doll. He's still very cute, but it is kind of a scary ragdoll vibe to Scrump. He is a handmade doll by Lilo, so it looks a little bit funny, but in the best way possible. So I thought that it would be a perfect video for October. He's a little bit spooky, but still adorable. So that is why I picked Scrump as our October crochet along. This is part 4 and the final part of our October crochet along where we are crocheting Scrump. And in this video, we are going to be working on the hair and the arms. So let's go ahead and get started. Here are the materials that you're going to need to crochet Scrump. I used a chunky weight yarn, but you can use whatever yarn you want. The amount of yarn will just vary based off of what kind of yarn you decide to use. So I used about 100 grams of chunky weight yarn in green. Then I used about 40 grams of chunky weight yarn in pink. We'll also need about 20 grams of chunky weight yarn in yellow, about 2 grams of chunky weight yarn in black, and about 10 grams of chunky weight yarn in blue. We're also going to need stuffing to stuff our Scrump along the way, and I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook for the letter H. And finally, we will need scissors and a tapestry needle to tuck in yarn tails at the end. We're going to get started today by crocheting the arms. So we're going to take our green yarn that matches the yarn that we used for the rest of Scrump's body, and we are going to make a magic ring and make 6 single crochet stitches into that ring. Now we can pull that starting yarn tail tight and slip stitch to the first stitch that we made to close up that ring. For the next round, we are going to increase in every stitch around. So we are going to go from having 6 stitches up to now having 12 stitches. So we are going to increase, and then repeat that 5 more times, and I will meet you back here for our next increase round. For the next round, we are going to single crochet 1 and then increase, and we're going to repeat that 5 more times for a total of 18 stitches. So we will single crochet 1 and then increase, and I'll repeat that 5 more times, and I will meet you back here for our next round. Now we are finished with our increases for our arm, and we are going to start working at just plain single crochet rounds. So we are going to work 8 rounds of single crocheting in every stitch around. So go ahead and work 8 rounds of single crocheting, 18 stitches in each round, and I will meet you back here for our next step. Once we're finished with all of those rounds, we're going to go ahead and stuff the arm. Now I am going to reattach the yarn. I'm not going to fasten off just yet. This step is optional, but I like to do it just to close this up, make sure to contain all of the stuffing, and it does make sewing easier later on. So I'm going to just single crochet across this row to single crochet the opening closed. So basically I'm just going to insert my hook through the front and the back and work a normal single crochet. So that's just going to help close up this arm. Again, it's totally optional, but I like to do this just to contain all of that stuffing so we're not having to worry about it while we are sewing it to the body. So I'll meet you back here after we finish this to move on to our next steps. Now we can fasten off our yarn and we're going to leave a long yarn tail for sewing. And here is one of Scrump's arms finished, and we're going to just go ahead and set this aside and make another arm that is identical to this one. So you can either rewind the video or I will insert all of the instructions right here for how to work one of the arms. So you can go ahead and pause the video on these instructions or rewind to watch how to make the arm. And I will meet you back here once you're finished with that second arm. Now that we have both arms done, we need to grab the rest of Scrump's body and start attaching them. So this is everything that we have worked so far in the first 3 videos. So we're just going to take the body of our Scrump and start adding on the arms. So the arms are going to be sewn onto Scrump's body, right on the sides, right below the collar. So you really want them just lined up on the side. The easiest way to do that is actually just to line it up with one of Scrump's legs. So you can see his legs down here. If you just rotate it and line it up and bring it to the top, and then sew it on right below the collar. So right there. And so we're just going to sew this on, and I'll meet you back here for our next arm. This is what the first arm is looking like. The positioning of it, you can see it is right on the side of the body, and it's going to kind of stick out like that unless it's squeezed down. So we want it to just kind of hang just like that. So we're going to sew on the second arm, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So we'll just align it up with the leg, bring it towards the collar, and then sew it on right below the collar. So I'll meet you back here once we have this arm sewn on. And here are what Scrump's arms will look like once you are finished. So now the only thing we have left to do is add on Scrump's hair. So that will be our next step, showing you how to crochet and attach the hair. Now we are going to go ahead and start working on the hair. The hair is worked in 5 different pieces. We have 2 small pieces, 2 medium pieces, and 1 large piece. They're all worked very similarly. The only difference is the number of chains worked in the beginning. But we're going to go ahead and get started on one of these small pieces. So we're going to grab our yellow yarn, and we're going to chain 11. So I'll meet you back here once we have chained 11. Now we are going to single crochet back along this chain, starting in the second chain from our hook. So we are going to single crochet 10, and I'll meet you back here once we have finished this row. Now we are going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we are going to single crochet back along this row, single crocheting 10, and I'll meet you back here at the end of this row. Now we're going to finish up the hairpiece by folding it in half long ways. So we're going to fold it over. It kind of creates a tube like this. And we are going to single crochet the two sides together. So we are crocheting the row we just worked to the starting chain that we made. And we're going to just single crochet those together. And we're going to do that all the way along this edge. This is going to help create some more stability for the hair pieces so that they aren't as floppy up top, because Scrump's hair does stick up straight, which is exactly what we're wanting to achieve here. So I'll meet you back here after we have single crocheted these two sides together. Now that we have finished single crocheting those two sides together, we can fasten off the yarn. And you don't have to leave a very long yarn tail here for sewing, because we're actually going to be attaching all of this hair to Scrump's bow, and we're going to be using pink yarn. So you can go ahead and set this aside, and you're going to need to make one more small hair piece. So you can either rewind the video and rewatch what we just worked, or I will put the instructions up here on the screen for how to work a small hair piece. And I'll meet you back here to get started on the medium hair pieces. To make the medium hair piece, we are going to chain 14. So I will meet you back here once we have a chain of 14 stitches. Now we are going to single crochet along this starting chain, and we're going to start in the second chain from the hook. So we are going to have a total of 13 single crochet stitches along this foundation chain. So I will meet you back here once we have finished those 13 single crochet stitches. Now we are going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we are going to work 13 single crochet stitches along this row, and I will meet you back here for our final step, which is the same as the small piece of single crocheting the two sides together. Now, just like with the small hair piece, we are going to fold it in half long ways and single crochet through both sides to secure these two sides together and make it more stable to stand up. And I will meet you back here once you have finished that. Now we can go ahead and fasten off that yarn. And we can set this aside and make another medium hair piece. So just like before, you can either rewind, or I will insert the instructions right here for how to work a medium hair piece. So go ahead and work one more of those, and then we will move on to our one large hair strand. For the large hair strands, we are going to chain 16. So go ahead and chain 16 stitches, and I will meet you back here for our next rows. Now we are going to single crochet in every stitch across, starting in the second chain from our hook. So that is going to be single crocheting 15 stitches, and I will meet you back here once we're done with that. Now we can chain 1 and turn our work, and we are going to work another row of single crocheting 15 stitches, and I will meet you back here for our last step. And now, just like with all of the other hair strands, we will fold it in half long ways, and we will single crochet the two sides together, and I will meet you back here once that's done for our next steps. And I'm going to go ahead and tuck in the yarn tails of all of our hair pieces. We won't be using these to sew the hair onto Scrump's head. We're going to use pink yarn instead. So having all of these yarn tails tucked in is going to make it easier to work with in our next step, which is sewing all of these onto the bow. So I'll meet you back here once we have all of those yarn tails tucked in. And here are all 5 of our hair strands. As you can see, they have a curve to them, at least mine always do, because of that single crochet row that single crocheted them together. Sometimes that can make it a little bit tight, but that's honestly perfect if you do have a little bit of a curve. I like to just angle it so that it's going out, so that the curve is pointed in towards that center strand and then curving outward. And this is exactly how we will be adding them onto the bow. We want our largest yarn strand in the center here, then our 2 medium ones, and then our 2 small ones. And they're going to be kind of stacked on top of each other, squished into that opening in the bow, but you do want to make sure that this is the general setup of your hair strands in the bow. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our scrump and start adding these in. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of the yarn strands in, and then I'll grab some pink yarn and start sewing them all together at once. But if you want, you can go ahead and just add them one at a time, add some few securing stitches, and then add the rest in. But I'm going to just take my largest strand and insert it down into the bow. So you see we have that opening that we left in the center of the bow, and then we're going to have the 2 sides of the bow. So you want to make sure that it is inserted down into that hole all the way down into the base of this bow. So I'm going to just slide that in. And now I'm going to grab our 2 medium hair strands. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to angle it so that the curve is outward. And I'm going to just insert these on either side, kind of in front of that larger hair strand. And now I'm going to grab the 2 small hair strands, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to angle them so that the curve is inward and tuck them in here. So now that all of those hair strands are tucked into the bow, you can kind of adjust them and pull some forward if you need to, but this is what our goal is. So we want the one long yarn strand to be in the center, and then the other ones fanning out like that. And those are going to be situated a little bit farther ahead of the largest one. So now we're going to take our pink yarn, and we're sewing it on with pink because it's going to come through the front and the back of the bow. And so we want to make sure that it matches our bow color. So I'm going to just insert my yarn through the back there and pull it out in the front. And we are going to just continue doing that back and forth, securing those yarn strands. So like I mentioned, you could pull these out and attach them one by one, but I think it's easier just to leave them all grouped together like this. And I'll just insert my yarn through, and you'll want to make sure that you get your needle through at least one of those yarn strands, the hair strands here, and insert your needle all the way through. And you're going to just continue doing that, making sure that your needle goes through at least one of these yarn hair strands in the top. And as you can see, I just lost one of my small pieces, so we're just going to tuck that back in. That might happen as we sew along, but you want to just make sure that you are holding them tightly as you stitch through, making sure your needle always goes through at least one of these hair strands to secure it. So I'm going to do this a lot of times. You want to periodically pull on these, test them, see if they are secure. And once you feel like it is secure enough for your liking, you can go ahead and tuck in your yarn tails, and we'll be done with Scrump. And here is Scrump's hair all complete. And as you can see, the opening in the bow is also very closed up because of all of those stitches that we have made. And everything is all secure with the bow. There's no more sliding back and forth. So you can kind of fluff that up, play with the hair a little bit. But other than that, our Scrump is done. And here is our finished scrump from Lilo and Stitch. I hope you enjoyed today's video and all of the other videos teaching you how to crochet your own scrump. I also hope you enjoyed this crochet along during the month of October. I'm definitely hoping to do more in the future, so make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you'll know when we're doing more crochet alongs. But other than that, thanks for watching.